Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I have just finished watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. Okay, I'm just gonna ramble on. This is gonna be a sort of review. It's gonna be full spoilers, so obviously if you haven't watched it, I'm talking about everything here. And yeah, I want to hit on some key points, but I guess the best part to start off with is before watching this movie, I went back and revisited the first two Zack Snyder movies, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, the special edition, which means it's the 3-hour version, in preparation for this movie, because I had not seen those two movies in several years each. Like, it's been at least like anywhere from 3 to 5 years since I've watched either of those. So I felt it was fair. All right, let's freshen up. Let's get used to kind of like the tone of where we were last, before we jump into this one. And my opinions of those movies haven't changed much at all, really. I still really enjoy Man of Steel, despite some things that I would have changed pretty drastically. But overall, it's a pretty good origin story. It had a lot of potential moving forward, and I think it works as a Superman movie. Batman v Superman, I still struggle with a lot. There's the tone, some of the incoherence of the plots, just a lot of decisions that were made in that movie that I just honestly could not. I can't back. I just can't back Batman v Superman. It's a movie that I love certain parts of it, but there are so many other parts where I'm just baffled at some of the decisions that were made. So my opinions on those two movies have not really changed at all. So I was going into Justice League. I'm trying to keep an open mind. I'm trying to be like, okay, let go of what I want this to be. It's not going to be the comic book universe. It's not even going to be the animated universe. I just have to let go of stuff that I've seen before and kind of what I'm expecting. So let me go out and say this right now. I really enjoyed Justice League. Wow. Okay. And put the obvious aside, this is obviously better than the Joss Whedon theatrical version of Justice League. And I kind of knew that. We all knew that going in, that like there's no way it's going to be worse. So this was not just better, but amazingly better, like so much more improved that they could literally delete Joss Whedon's version of Justice League from every streaming service. They could pull all the DVDs off the shelves, and I don't think anyone would care at all. I think everyone would be like, yeah, why not? Just literally pretend it doesn't exist, because we literally have a better version of it by a lot. It's not even close how much better this version of it is. The thing that really surprised me, though, okay, because it being better than Joss Whedon was like a given. The thing that surprised me is this movie is a movie I can see myself watching over and over again, and I enjoyed this so much more than Batman v Superman, because I think about that movie, I kind of get a headache of how kind of fumbled up it is and how disappointing I found it. This movie, I just had a good time. I was happy like the whole time. And the thing I think is the big difference here is that Batman v Superman is very dour, and it's very doom and gloom, and everything is horrible. Whereas Justice League, of course, it still has some of those moments that's all doom and gloom and very self-serious, which is fine, but it knows when to have levity. It has characters that have levity, but it also has moments between Batman and Diana, Batman and Alfred, Aquaman and Cyborg, and every character gets like moments where they're allowed to feel like humans. In Batman v Superman, no one felt like a human. Everyone felt like I gotta be serious all the time. I'm super grim and serious. Everything sucks. Whereas in this movie, it's like, hey, it's a serious situation, but we can, we're still humans. Someone's gonna make a joke at least once, I don't know. It felt more inviting and genuinely entertaining. I had a great time with this movie. I really did. and I'm shocked by that. You know, I thought that I was gonna be walking away saying, yeah, it was okay, but like, no, like, really, like, I actually really enjoyed this. So, you know, I find myself in this weird position of where I'm like, you know, Man of Steel was good but not great, Batman v Superman is massively disappointing to me, and Justice League, the 4-hour cut, is kind of amazing. Like, I don't even know what to take away from that. It's the same creator, and it's all like a trilogy of movies, and yet somehow I'm like at very different levels for each movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Now, of course, it being 4 hours, it feels like it's a long time, but honestly, in the age of streaming, it felt like I was binging a show. That's really all it is. You know, imagine if WandaVision did drop all at once. It felt the same as if I were to watch, you know, all 9 episodes of WandaVision. Like, it's just, you know, something being 4 hours long just doesn't mean as much when you can, you know, sit on the toilet, watch 5 minutes of it on your phone, go over there, watch another 20 minutes over there. You know, it's easy to divide up. It's easy to start and stop. You know, just throughout my, like, this is what I did throughout my day. I watched an hour in the morning, I watched an hour at my lunch break at work, and then I watched the last 2 hours when I got home. And like, that's it, you know, like, it being 4 hours means nothing really. And I feel like we're definitely, you know, this is like a major step. Obviously it wasn't originally supposed to be this way, but it's like a major step in, like, yeah, release these giant blockbusters on streaming services. Just do it. And obviously HBO Max is going to be doing that all year, if not from this point moving forward. But anyways, back to the movie. Man, character development, the pacing, all the little details, everyone got a moment. It just you know, I know I'm just gonna gush over this movie, but like, genuinely, there's very little that I can actually like sit here and say I had a problem with. You know, there's still some Zack Snyder'isms. You know, there's like slow-mo kind of for no reason, just to look cool and be slow motion. There's some random songs and some people singing, like chanting and all this stuff. You know, he kind of does that in all of his movies. Very Zack Snyder'isms, I guess is what you would call them. But those didn't even feel as excessive as they sometimes do feel. You know, and as far as like, you know, things that I think were added on later, the only one that I would say was, it looked like, I don't, you know, I might be wrong, but it looked like it was obviously added in later, was the very, very end of the movie. Was, you know, full spoilers, Martian Manhunter shows up and has like a full conversation with Bruce Wayne. Some of that dialogue felt a little stilted, and I feel like Ben Affleck looked noticeably skinnier than he did in the rest of the movie, which leads me to believe that this was, you know, one major reshoot. You know, Martian Manhunter's CG didn't quite look as polished as some of the other CG in the movie. And you kind of noticed that a couple of times. There was like a couple of parademons I would see, like, oh, that CG is kind of iffy right there. I wonder if they just added that one in, you know? But on the whole, it was like a pretty great production, you know? And as far as like similarities to the Joss Whedon cut, there are obviously some jokes that are exactly the same. There are at least 1 or 2 fight scenes that play out exactly the same way. But like, I mean, I don't even know the context of it all. It's just such a vastly improved movie. You know, I know I said we should delete that Joss Whedon cut, but I almost want to like go watch that again just to see how poorly that one is executed in comparison to this one. This should almost be, you know, this is going to be kind of a film studies thing for a while, if only because of like how strangely historic it is that a director got to come back and completely, you know, spend millions of dollars to finish their thing, and it's like 4 hours long. But also, this should be a comparison study about how pacing and character development and, you know, all this editing around obvious plot lines that Joss Whedon cut out, and it's it's kind of fascinating, really, to see the differences between the two movies. And you really get a sense of, like, Zack Snyder was way up here, way huge, and Joss Whedon had to, like, shave it down to, like, this tiny little forgettable, inconsequential movie that everyone forgot what happened. Yeah, just I had a great time. I really did. Now, some of the things that were, like, set up in this movie, you know, of course, there's Darkseid, like, you know, he's gonna invade again and that whole thing. But they also, and I was kind of waiting for this because they didn't, surprisingly, they didn't do this till, like, the very end of the movie also. The whole apocalypse dream sequence, you know, he's wearing the brown trench cloak Batman, whatever you want to call that world that you saw in Batman v Superman. You know, they have a whole other sequence of that in this movie at the very end, and they mention timelines, and I'm kind of like, I'm kind of confused. Like, at first I thought, like, okay, these are premonitions of the future, right? And they still kind of play with that idea because they show Bruce Wayne waking up at the end of this sequence, but I'm almost wondering, like, is this just a parallel timeline that's happening, and he is somehow, like, because Bruce Wayne is, I don't know, like, if there's some kind of weird time stuff going on. I don't know if this is necessarily the future anymore so much as a concurrent timeline, something that's happening simultaneously, maybe in a different Earth, like maybe that's Earth 3 or something, and this is Earth 1, and somehow Bruce Wayne is, like, psychically connecting with his other self. I don't know. It's interesting now because, you know, it was kind of presented as if it were a possible future, but now I'm kind of thinking maybe that's not the case. Also, in the middle of Bruce Wayne's conversation with the Joker, this future Joker, who, they don't explain it, he just doesn't have the tattoos, but thank God he doesn't. He looks so much better without those stupid tattoos. Anyways, I thought that they were about to drop the fan theory that, oh, he's Jason Todd and he was turned into the Joker. It almost, for like a minute, it seemed like they were heavily implying that was going to happen. You know, because they kind of, you know, he talks about how, the Boy Wonder, he lost the Boy Wonder and he lost all these other people. But then I was like, wait, is he about to say that he was Robin? Or I don't know. It felt like it was about to happen and then it didn't. So I guess not. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that this movie set up, and I'm going to say it. If this is the tone that we're going to keep, and we can, like, keep up this level, then I do want more. And that's the fascinating thing. I never thought I would say this, but, like, if it's gonna stay like this, then yes, I would like more of this. You know, I actually care about this version of the Justice League, whereas back in 2017 I really just could not give a shit, but now I care. So yeah, I don't know if they'll ever continue this. I suspect that is highly dependent on how many new subscribers they get to HBO Max and whatever else. But I can see a situation where they do at least let him make a Justice League 2, if not outright continue with the whole Snyderverse. But, you know, we'll see. It really comes down to the numbers with Warner Brothers, I think. The other thing that was a little strange was some of the inconsistencies with the movies that have come out since then, because this was supposed to come out 2017, and then Aquaman, the movie, came out in 2018, I think, and you know, if a lot of this was original footage that Zack had back in 2017, it's clear that they were still in early production of Aquaman the movie, because, you know, if you go watch that Aquaman movie, it doesn't entirely gel with what we're presented with here, especially like him already knowing Mera and that whole situation. And then what's his name, Valco, Willem Dafoe, you know, he's got like long hair and he's got this armor, whereas he has a completely different design in the Aquaman movie. So it's clear that, like, you know, at one point Zack was producing Justice League, and then Aquaman was in production, and something happened there. And I guess once once Zack left, Aquaman just kind of went its own direction, and some changes were made. You know, I don't think it's anything too serious, but it's clear that like there's some kind of continuity, like iffy parts now. If you want to count this as the true canon Justice League, it's like, okay, but now Aquaman kind of doesn't make as much sense, I guess. But hey, it's the DCEU. There's already like kind of canon thingies that don't entirely make sense. You know, we just had Wonder Woman 1984 that's, I mean, I don't even know, can she fly? She didn't fly in this movie. Whatever, I don't know. I'm not going to get into Wonder Woman 1984 right now. But in any case, yeah, I had a good time. I really enjoyed this. And if this is what we would be getting if Zack was allowed to do more, then I do want more. I want to see, at the very least, I want to see this conclusion with Darkseid and all that. But they kind of teased the whole Deathstroke and Batman fighting each other. Lex Luthor escaped, and he... Which, by the way, I thought that was a Joss Whedon addition. The whole, oh, Lex escaped, and in the Joss Whedon cut, they do this thing where he's like, oh, we're gonna make a Legion of Doom or something like that. But in this, he just tells him who Batman's identity is. He just tells him he's Bruce Wayne, which is interesting. So I'm wondering at what point, I guess Joss Whedon just got all the actors back and reshot the scene with different dialogue. Which is interesting because it's on the same boat, same costumes and everything, but it leads an entirely different direction. This one teases the Batman movie that Ben Affleck was supposed to direct and supposed to star in. And I think at the time the idea was definitely that Deathstroke was the bad guy of that Batman movie, which of course now we're getting the Batman with Robert Pattinson. That's what that eventually turned into. So, you know, it's WB is in this position where they can just be upfront and say, hey, there's a multiverse, you know, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker's over here, the Robert Pattinson Batman is over there, and Snyderverse can continue on HBO Max, and you can kind of just do what you want. You know, you can even wipe away some of those inconsistencies with like Aquaman and Wonder Woman 1984 and just say, oh, well, those are different timelines, like the Joker said in this movie, right? Why doesn't Joker have his tattoos? Oh, well, that Suicide Squad's a different timeline, and then James Gunn's Suicide Squad is another different timeline. You know, you can, they're in a position now where they can continue everything and just kind of, you know, wave their hands at it and say different timelines or something. Don't worry about canon, it's whatever. You know, and I would be okay with it if this is what we would be getting. You know, and I guess that's my main thing, is that like you know, I guess not since Man of Steel, but this is even more than that. I haven't seen, this is like a lighter movie than Zack Snyder's ever made. I think I can't recall a lighter movie than this, because, you know, like I said, this had dark moments, it had serious moments, but like, you know, it had hope in it and joy in it, and people smiled and people laughed a little, and people, you know, at least made a couple of quips and kind of like became friends with each other. You know, like it was not all doom and gloom and horribleness and everything sucks and the world sucks and it's always nighttime and it's always raining and they were all angry at each other. It didn't feel like that, because that's what Batman v Superman felt like to me. This one had like a fresher, more happy-ish, hopeful kind of vibe going on, and I really dug it, and I want more. I'm not even yeah, it's crazy. I never ever thought that I would be a fan of Zack Snyder's interpretation of the DC universe, but like, you know, I'll watch Man of Steel, I'll watch this movie, and then let's just try to keep it here in this area. You know, you can do some doom and gloom, but it doesn't have to be nothing but doom and gloom. If we can keep it like right here in this middle area of Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, let's keep it right here, then I'll be happy. I want more Superman. This version of Superman, I want more of this. Give me that Ben Affleck Batman Deathstroke battle. Why not? Just, you can have 12 Batman movies, I don't care. I guess the only other weird thing is that, like, you know, Cyborg, you know, the actor has since gotten in kind of a beef with WB as a whole, or at the very least the people in charge of the DC Comics division over there at WB. So I don't know if we'll ever see this version of Cyborg again. Like it's what's his name, Walter Hamada. You know, him and Ray Fisher, Walter Hamada, have like this big beef going on, and oh my god, what's his name, Jeff Johns. Yeah, it's a whole situation, so we might never see that again. And then of course Ezra Miller, there was that video where he apparently choke slammed some girl into the ground over there in Europe, like at a bar or something. You know, and Ezra, so that's again like this version of Flash we might never see again. They're gonna have to recast some people. I don't know. Overall, it's a tricky situation. Continuing this would be very expensive. Oh, who else? Mara, I forget her name. You know, she had like this whole really nasty court settlement, or you know, this whole court case with Johnny Depp, or her ex-husband. My point is, there are several cast members here, which it might be tricky to get them back. There's a lot of money that would have to be spent, and you have a lot of continuity issues kind of happening, but I think that's the easiest thing to wave away. I do want it to happen, you know, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, I don't know if it ever will. So I don't know. That's what I'm gonna say right now. I'm sure there's gonna be a campaign that like restore the Snyderverse, bring it all back, you know, just let him make his stuff. Maybe there'll be some kind of middle ground deal they can reach where he's like, okay, you can make this one thing, but we can't get the whole cast back. We can't spend, you know, $200 million, but we can spend maybe $50 million, you know, something like that. I don't know. In any case, I enjoyed what we got. If this is the end of Zack Snyder's DC universe, or at least his involvement with it, this was a strong ending. Obviously, there's a lot of cliffhangers, and I'm gonna feel like, man, in some, you know, in one of our alternate realities, we got something else entirely. But you know, the other thing is that this 4-hour version that I just watched, you know, this would not have happened if the whole debacle didn't happen in the first place, because even when Zack Snyder was in charge, they were still gonna make him cut it down to probably 2 or 2.5 hours, right? So even then, we would have gotten a different movie. So the thing we have now is only possible because of everything that happened. So it's one of those just crazy things in life that, like, it's only because of all of these insane series of events that we actually got a pretty good Justice League movie. Which, you know, maybe I should just be happy that we have a pretty good Justice League movie. Let's not worry about the future for now. It just came out. I'll watch it again and again, and probably another time after that. And I'm glad that, you know, I'm not left with Batman v Superman. I know a lot of people like that movie, but it's just not for me, and I'm glad that that does not have to be the ending notes on like a disappointing ride. You know, I can now kind of go out on a high note and be like, yeah, Justice League was pretty good. So there's that. Anyways, let me know what you think. I'm just rambling on at this point, but if you've seen it, let me know what you think about the movie. Let me know, you know, how you feel about the future of the DC universe or Zack Snyder movies, and let me know how you felt about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman before going into this, because, you know, I find myself in kind of an awkward position where it's like, you know, I'm telling you guys the truth, I don't like Batman v Superman. It just rubs me the wrong way, but somehow its direct sequel is really great, which is weird, but okay. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Falcon and Winter Soldier. All right, bye.